Hello and welcome to Between the Studs. I'm your host Mark. Today I'm joined by another Mark.
Hello, Mark.
Who we've seen on a Lego Rock Raiders podcast a while ago. And then Corey, who we've only seen on some Morning Bricks, I think, so far. Have you made it on Between the Studs yet?
Not yet. This is my first one.
There you go.
All right,
Super excited.
And super fitting, I think, because we're talking about Lego trains today. And if there's two guys that I know who know everything about Lego trains, it's got to be Mark and Corey. I mean, literally, you're the two guys who are the train experts.
Yes.
Whoa.
Exactly.
We have too much spare time on our hands.
No pressure or anything.
That's the
Yeah.
right
I'm
answer.
going to ask you some tough questions
Right.
like, what is Lego trains? And so coming up here in just a minute. This is going to be a little bit more informal compared to our, more structured episodes. Normally we're talking about our top 5 or specific sets from different things, but this is kind of a discussion of the Lego trains theme overall, which is kind of more like the classic Between the Studs format, which is very discussion based. So I have a bunch of questions for us, and we're going to just dive in here.
Awesome.
But the first question I have for you guys is, when did Lego trains become a priority for you in your Lego career, your Lego collecting? So,
I'll let you go first, Mark.
Sure. So it happened in 2016. Debbie, my wife, was up at Dragon Con for the weekend, so I was out in Kansas City on a trip.
there you go.
And I went to the old train station. They had redone the train station in Kansas City, and in the back they had a display. The train clubs in Kansas City put up a huge Lego display.
Nice.
And it was all the Western theme.
Mm-hmm.
So mountains and western towns, Fort Legorado, but then they had 2 or 3 trains running around. And at that point, my son had Legos when he was young, but I didn't even know Lego made trains.
Yeah.
So I got the bug in 2016, and I don't know, I quit counting how many trains I had.
Exactly. And from there, it was a non-stop process of
Yes.
finding Lego trains.
Yes.
That's awesome. What
Yes.
about you, Corey?
Well, I got mine a little bit earlier on. I think it was 2002 or 2003. My mom went out and bought this set, actually, for $40.
That very set?
No.
This singular set.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was the only one we could afford at the time. And then the next year, she got me these 2 cargo wagons. And that was it. I never got any more. I never had curved track, never had motors. I just had 8 pieces of straight track and these 3 trains.
Wow.
Needless to say, my train fandom died out during my dark ages.
Right.
Mhm.
And about 3 years ago, one of my friends got me a Lego set as a gift.
There you go.
I was like, oh no, I gotta go get the other Legos out of storage now. And I found parts of this sitting in there. This was the first set I rebuilt of the collection, and the rest is history, kind of like
Wow.
Mark here.
There you go. Non-stop collecting since that time.
Yeah.
Your friend got you the bug, and you're back into it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know Lego Trains is one of those special themes that once you get into it, you may not ever really emerge
Right.
from that that awesomeness. So
Well, it goes into so many other themes too, city sets and then Western and.
to have an effective train collection, you
have
really
to
need to have everything,
right,
right?
right.
You have to have city, you have to have the road plates, track pieces,
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
But for those who are new to the Lego train scene, can you describe the different track types? Which ones do you prefer? So there's Lego trains have been around for a long time. We started out with older 9-volt stuff, and now we've gone into the modern stuff. Can you
Right.
guys just kind of break that down for us, especially for those who have no idea what's on the table in front of us? So that being said, Mark, why don't you start us off with the beginning of Lego trains here?
Well, the very beginning was probably in the 70s with the blue track.
Oh,
Yeah.
And-
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have any of those.
We might have some pictures we can pull
But-
up. Very blurry
okay.
pictures, but yeah.
Okay, but yeah, those are the earliest ones. And I think the neat thing about all the Lego track is these came out in 1980 and through 85. But they're all compatible. So the
Yeah.
trains will run on the old blue track, this track, and then the new track that Corey has. But this track, it only came out for 5 years, and you could still find it on Bricklink really reasonable. So it snaps together. You have to be careful because these pieces are real fragile here.
Mm. Yep.
But it has 3 different pieces, the straight edge and then 2 curved. There's a short curve and a long curve.
Oh, that's pretty tricky.
And then this crossing piece. So, but it's really reasonable, and it would be good if you just want to set up a place for your trains to be parked. And
Yeah.
it's not real great for running on,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very reasonably priced if you want to have a place to park your trains.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it can still be used in train layout, especially for non-vital areas, right?
Right.
But what is really interesting to me is you got the inside and the outside curved, and that just
Right.
adds an extra bit of complexity
Right.
that they thankfully avoided in more recent iterations of train track. So.
And this was the part of the train that it came with, and this is actually the battery box.
There
so
you
this
go.
is set 7722. Again, it came out in 1985, and it had 3 C-cell batteries in it.
Oh my goodness, that
Wow.
is so cool.
So it's and then just the switch to activate it on the side. So that's how the trains from the 80s worked. One of
Exactly.
the early ones.
Nice
That
and
is pretty neat.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about the rail yards. I see a lot of rail yards using these pieces just because they look more industrial,
Hmm.
kind of like they would in real life instead of having a big track.
Exactly. A little more spread out.
And then you have the newer ones.
Yeah, so after that, they came out with the old dark gray 9-volt track. This stuff is getting pretty expensive now.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a curve is 50 cents to $2 depending on condition, but a straight one is like $3 to $10
Yeah.
Wow.
depending on the condition, just for one piece.
Yeah.
And you
for a
see
couple
layouts
inches.
with 1,000 of these.
Right.
You're talking $3,000
Right.
minimum. So
Whereas these are like 10 cents a piece.
Yeah, there you go. That's why people are using these, is they're
Yes.
very affordable. So.
Yes.
yeah, so a lot of collections will use a 9-volt because you don't
Right.
need the batteries. You can just
Right.
run trains all day
You
on
can
it.
plug it in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
There's only 2 downsides, and it's the cost,
Mhm.
and you're limited with your layout because of the positive and negative currents.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't just do endless connections because eventually a positive will touch a negative track and it'll
Yeah.
cancel out.
Mhm. So once you get to a really large train layout, would that current still flow pretty strong, or would it start to weaken as it gets bigger?
That's another problem. It gets
Mhm.
weaker after so many tracks. So
Yeah.
you'd have to some people put little rubber dividers in between the track to separate portions of their layout and have
Oh.
different power stations supplying different parts of the track.
You got to get very strategic with it. Yeah.
Right. That's what I've done. I've added extra power station, and you could use them in series.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
So
There you
it
go.
does help.
This is a little bit more rare. It's actually newer. It's the dark bluish gray 9-volt.
Okay, with 9-volt.
And they only made this for a year and a half,
Wow.
2
Okay.
years.
Oh.
They just barely made this, and then right after they started making this, they got rid of 9-volt
Right.
altogether and came out with just plastic
Right.
track.
That's what we have now.
Yeah. The con is you got to use batteries to run on this, but
Mhm.
the pro is you can do whatever layout you want. It's
Right.
cheap. Some people will cut it, remold it. You can't
Mhm.
really do that with the metal track too easy.
No, I can't imagine that. So, these different train track types, which ones do you guys prefer? And like, would you recommend for somebody getting into it or wanting to get into it?
Well, at first, I was just going with the battery-controlled trains.
Yeah.
But then when you get tired of changing batteries out, then you go quick to the electric trains.
Exactly.
So I prefer the electric ones.
The 9-volt
The
ones
9
from the
volt,
90s
yes.
and 2000s.
And if you do find some that are corroded, because people don't always take care of them, if you just take some really, really fine steel wool,
Mhm.
and then you could shine it up a little bit and get the connection better. So I'd
Polish it off a little
polish
bit.
it to
Yeah.
get yes, because it's those tracks are 20 to 30 years old, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Came out in the 90s.
They're getting there in
Yeah.
age. You have to
Yeah.
kind of maintain them a little bit if
Yes.
you want to run well. So. What about you, Corey?
Currently, I'm still in the phase where I'm using the plastic track with batteries.
There you go.
I think one pro of this is I can program a lot of different trains to do different things
Mm-hmm.
with the smart hub and
Mhm.
the app and all that. The 9-volt, you'd have to be a little more involved to get trains to do different things with what you want. However, later on in life, I do see myself moving over to this eventually, just
Yeah.
for a more permanent layout, maybe like in a display, like at the museum you visited. I'm
Mhm.
sure they use 9-volt, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And less battery cost overall after
Yeah.
a while. So you can get rechargeables, but how long is that going to last? Yeah.
Exactly.
Talking about train displays and kind of the end goal of any train collectors, have them, where you can see them and use them and drive them around. Do you guys have a train display space at home? And do you have a dedicated train layout, though? Who'd like to start with that one?
Well, I don't, so let's go.
You don't? Okay.
Not yet.
I just bought a house actually, and I have a loft above the garage, 20 feet by 18 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm currently working on my train layout in there. I'll include some pictures.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
It's just tables right now and modulars sitting out, but I've worked on the track layout and I designed it on a software online for 2 months before I got the tables made. So
Okay.
hopefully it turns out the way we're imagining it, but it's going to take a lot of man hours and help. So
Yeah, that is super cool, Corey. I'm excited to see that start to flesh out. But so, Mark, you don't have a dedicated display space for your trains yet?
Not
do you?
yet. So my son's basement that's where we're planning it.
Oh, okay,
He has
that sounds good.
Yeah, huge basement. So, but Michael, get the basement finished.
Yeah, there you go.
come on, Michael.
You're waiting on some other people. It's
Yes.
not your fault. We
Yes.
got you. We won't press you too hard on it.
I'll come help just to get it done. I want
There
to
you
see
go.
this thing.
I'm really excited about this because I definitely don't have space for a train layout, but I am kind of living vicariously through you guys and like being able to see these get planned out and start to materialize is very exciting. So we'll maybe even be able to give you guys an update later, even like in a short format video or something. We talked about Lego trains, the eras that they've come from, a little bit about the display area spaces and such. One thing that is notable is Lego has made a lot of different train sets, and some of them are awesome, some of them are newer and less awesome. But what are some of your favorite train sets, especially the ones you've got arrayed on the table here? Can we describe them for those who don't know anything about the history of these sets?
Everybody's favorite is the Merce set.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
I forget what year it came out, but that's the first train I bought, and brand new in the package.
Absolutely. So
And yes, it's the prettiest one. And it looks like a real Merce, train and the cargo
containers, here,
containers. Yeah,
they're modular. Yeah.
Yes.
That's super cool.
yeah. So and I think that color blue is
The Merce blue.
The Merce blue. That's the only thing that the Lego has used, right?
For the helmet and some of the pieces of
Right,
the train. Yeah.
right.
It has a lot of unique pieces, and that's why
Yeah.
it's so expensive.
It
Yeah.
is now, but yeah, I got it when it was fairly new.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that would have been, I want to say like 2013, 14, or a little bit after
I
that.
think so, because
I
I
think
bought
it was
it.
like 2011.
Well,
2011. Okay.
yeah, because it was out a few years. It was discontinued when I bought
I'll
it.
put it up on the screen with the actual years, 'cause I don't have a Bricklink available right now.
Right.
Thankfully, it's back online.
Right.
But
Oh.
yeah, that is a sweet train. It's got some really interesting. It has stickers, but they're well applied and they
Right.
make sense within the model. So it's pretty sweet.
You
So.
can't even tell that they're stickers almost, the way that they strategically place them on the bricks,
Mhm.
surrounded by the studs on the side panel.
Yeah, the Lego trains are somewhat small. Like the minifigure can like barely fit in
Right.
there. They're a little bit like miniaturized to fit on the track, and because of that, they have to be really careful with how the colors are arranged to make it look like a real train like this. So very well executed.
And then my second favorite is this, which I actually have the box for.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh,
see
there
that?
you go. There you go.
Lego Express.
That is so cool.
So that came
That
with
is.
the engine and the coal car,
Mhm, the steam
caboose,
train, yeah.
the steam train, and the lug and the passenger.
Yeah.
And back in 2000, I think it came out around 2002. Then Lego also came out with these, which complement it, and
The fuel.
the
Car.
tanker car,
Mhm.
and there's just a couple printed stickers on it, or they're printed plates actually. And then this one has all common pieces except for the magnets and the
wheels and the chassis, yeah.
the chassis. I found all these pieces in Pick-a-Brick,
There you go.
Wow.
Yep.
but this is another that's called the hopper wagon.
Very cool.
So those it seemed like they made a bunch of really cool trains right at 2002-ish.
Yeah, with that 9-volt system, and I also remember there being this type of train, but in different color
They
variants.
did, yes.
What
yeah.
what was the story behind that?
Yeah, do you know the story? No.
These were all part of the My Own Train line.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the term I was thinking of.
This was the golden era for Lego train fans, like the golden age. You could buy a train engine on its own. You could buy a passenger car. You could buy the
Right.
rolling stock. You could mix and match
Right.
however you wanted. I remember in the back of the magazine, you could just pick out car numbers,
Yeah.
call Lego, tell them which ones you want, and they'd mail it. Nowadays, it's you got to buy an engine to get one car, and then you got to buy another engine to get one more car. Then you got to sell the engine, and
Yeah. If you
Just-
want more cars on your train, you have to buy multiple copies of a set in order
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah. So.
it's like
How did this guy get here? So we have a little Seagull fun fact.
Oh yeah.
That I don't know if you know about. Do you know why seagulls are called seagulls?
No.
No.
Because they fly over the sea.
There you go.
If they flew over the bay, they'd be called bagels.
Sounds good. Are seagulls associated with trains in any way, or not really?
I don't know how he got in there.
Oh, okay. He's just a mystery. There you go. That's good. So the my own train was kind of the golden age, but we also have some trains that are slightly more later generations. What do we got over here on the table there?
This was some of the original My Own Train stuff here, and believe it or not, I think these 3 sets were still part of My Own Train, even
In
though
that era, yeah.
Really?
I'd have to look it up
Maybe
again.
a year or two after?
Yeah, or they were sold during the My Own Train phase because you could go buy these separate.
Mhm.
You could buy the engine separate. It was still modularized just like these. So this is the Santa Fe engine. I think this is the best train.
It's beautiful.
Of the older ones, this is one of the best ones. I do have a Maersk as well.
Yeah.
I love both.
Yeah.
This one has some nostalgia value for me, but also just it's more. I think what these both have in common is they're very American trains.
Yeah, industrial. Yeah.
And I've said this before, a lot of Lego sets are very European in nature because Lego is based in Denmark. And this, the BNSF and the Maersk are some of not the Maersk, but they're some of the most American branded sets Lego has
Yeah,
made.
Santa Fe is clearly a North American thing, Central American thing, so it's pretty cool.
hmm As far as this one as well, they both came out at the same time. This set actually has some unique pieces with the red the dark green 1x6 brick.
Yep.
Those are getting very expensive.
Interesting.
Some people will buy this set, switch out the bricks, and then resell it. Yeah.
That's one way to do it, yep.
Now before we leave the My Own Train topic, it's funny you brought this box in. Somebody just pointed out to me recently some of the art on the box and how this is one of the prettiest box arts Lego's also ever made. You've got the train on the trestle bridge here, the Norfolk Southern engines in the train yard. This is stuff I've looked at this box for years and I never noticed any of that.
Yeah,
Somebody said it.
Subtle, actual live-action pictures of trains, kind of to evoke that feeling for the classic train fan.
I don't know many other box arts that'll have real live photos on there.
The one exception I can think of is the Lego Arctic line from the early 2000s as well, had some actual Arctic exploration stuff in their instructions and art. But that might be why that kind of flair is there, because of that same time period. So.
Yeah, they're both made in that age where Lego's spending too much money on making the sets good. And
Yeah, exactly. The sets were too good for their value. People didn't realize it at the time. I mean, not everyone had a ton of money to spend in the 90s, I've realized. But
yeah.
But a little bit later on, we have some very beautiful dark green trains over here, Corey. What are those?
Well, this is also one of the most famous ones, the Emerald Knight.
Right.
This was released about the same time as the Maersk.
Okay.
This was more of a toy set than that, which was more of a collector set. It also has a lot of unique parts, which is why this one can get a little pricey as well, especially for the stickers. This and this
Constitution train?
Constitution from the Lone Ranger. I think these are some of the only steam locomotives that Lego's made since the My Own Train era.
Yeah.
Everything else has been more electric or more modern.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of fans really try and get their hands on these.
And so, okay.
It also has a really cool spot to store your battery. If you don't have the 9-volt layout, they've incorporated a spot to hide your battery in the train, because they couldn't fit it in the locomotive.
Yep.
Yeah.
That rounded construction kind of limits the space inside, so they have a nice little coal car with a battery pack area there. So that's pretty cool. And as a fan of trains, and also two Americans here, do you think that Lego has leaned more into the kind of European passenger train vibe, especially in more recent years, and they're kind of missing some of the classic train designs?
Yes and no. They have to sell what kids are going to buy.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids recognize the passenger trains they may ride on their commute over in Europe.
Exactly.
Also just city trains they might see in the city. I don't think many kids would recognize this train these days.
That is true.
However, they did take a Bricklink contest train set. What's it called? The Orient Express?
Yes.
And they're releasing that soon.
Oh, yes.
Those Lego Ideas,
Yeah.
perhaps,
Yeah.
maybe, but
That
that
one
one
looks
looks good.
That's going to be a much nicer blue version of this type of train.
Yeah, steam engine. So.
A lot of people are very excited for that. So
Absolutely.
And then they also came out with the big Disney train.
Yeah.
Oh,
which
that's
is-
right.
It's a lot bigger, right?
That one
it's
is
an
very
eight-
classic
it's-
looking, yeah.
But it's eight wide, is it?
Is it 8 wide?
It's big.
That's a pricey one as well.
Yes.
And does it come with the train station and all that too? Is that why it helps add to the cost
That's
a little
right,
bit?
and it's I guess was one of the first ones with the Bluetooth.
Yes, the latest
controller.
powered up version.
That's
motors.
right.
And that's basically runs on the Power Functions track, but has a slightly newer interface with your phone versus a controller, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had the plastic track, and then you had a Bluetooth battery and a remote, and you could drive your trains with that. But now they got rid of the remote, and your phone is a remote.
Yeah.
So you control the train with your phone. And back to why My Own Trains is so good with the Disney set, if you want an extra passenger car for your train, you've got to buy another engine. You've got to buy another train station, a whole
Right.
set of track,
Right.
just for
one car.
yeah.
That's a little bit difficult to get. And, Lego is nice and they include at least one car with each train usually. But real trains have like, what, a dozen behind it? So
Right.
it's like even having 3 or 4 would be a lot more realistic than just one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of the batteries can't pull more than 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah.
That's
Under most circumstances,
Yes.
right?
Especially for the older ones, the Santa Fe, the rolling stock, the carriages are just so heavy, pulling more than 5 or 6 a
Yeah.
feet.
Brick heavy
Mhm.
train cars for sure.
The Maersk ones though are a lot lighter. You could pull maybe 6
really?
or 7, 8. Yeah, those do
Yeah.
really well.
Interesting. Oh yeah, so we talked about the Orient Express train a little bit and how that's pretty exciting to see that coming out. We don't have more than a few pictures to go off of, but if you had a chance to talk to all the Lego executives that will be watching this, what are some of the train sets that you would really want to see? Are you looking for more of these kind of cargo trains? Are you looking for specific branding? I can think of when I was a kid, I had a Union Pacific train engine with that yellow and gray color scheme, and I think that'd be pretty cool. Is there anything that comes to mind for you guys?
I would just like to see more train cars.
More variety, huh?
More variety,
Yeah.
yes. Different coal cars, and there's a bunch of My Own Creation trains, which we could look at in a minute. But yes, I wish they'd make more variety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't care what they make as long as they make it modular so that you can purchase it separately.
yes. Right.
So they keep making whatever they're making, but make it so I can buy more of the carriages, more of the track separate. They do great on the track.
Yeah.
Um,
So more like a train engine, but then you have a train car set separately that you can buy 3 of versus just
Or one of.
Yeah, or one of if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
you could have a starter kit, and then you could buy whatever else you wanted to go with it. The train station, the rolling stock.
Looking out for the customer a little bit more. Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes total sense. But do you guys want to swap out the train sets that we have here and show off some of the other things we've got down there?
Yes.
Let's
Sure.
do that real quick.
The guy at the convention in Chicago offered to sell me his 8-wide engine for a really good deal just to get me into it. 'Cause
Yeah.
he knew I was a fan. I was like, dude, I can't. The minute I buy that,
Yeah, that's gonna.
I have to sell all of my 6-wide
Well,
and redo
that's
it.
why I only have 3 of these.
You have a couple.
I have, yeah, that's it. And I gave up.
It makes these look pathetic almost. They're just
Right.
so big.
Well,
Yeah.
and then you could add so much detail too.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's a whole another layer of
Right.
additions. But so one of my questions I had on my list to talk about was, are you guys into the MOC scene? I had
Not
no
at all.
idea that you guys
Not
would be
at all.
bringing some amazing custom train cars, train engines, and stuff to talk about. But before we dive into all those, though, let's kind of round out the discussion of the sets we have in here. I see some really cool smaller vehicles here you were mentioning,
Okay.
Mark. What do we got here?
Yes, so this is the snow removal. So this came out, it was either the late 80s or early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But Lego came out with a few of these nice little sets, and they were only like $10 or $12 each. So
Does the movement function still work on that one? On the track?
You can test
is
it.
it?
I think when it rolls on the track, it
Oh,
spins
really?
the front.
Yeah, it
of
does.
it.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
I've only seen that in magazines. That is so
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. So there's that, and then a bunch of track repair vehicles. So again, it's just fun, when Lego comes out with small sets for that are reasonably priced that you could expand your collection with.
And very utilitarian too.
Right.
They're designed to be repairing or fixing,
Right.
kind of construction crew.
So if you're setting up a layout, you could see where you could put these. And
Exactly. Have them temporarily building
Right.
track. That's pretty cool. But then we also have some. This one in particular is really catchy, Mac. Can we talk about that one, Mark? What do we got here?
Yeah, so, well, you probably know more about this than me, Corey.
Oh,
I just,
Mark might know a lot about
I
this.
know a little
Yeah.
bit. Actually,
Yeah.
I'll break this up while we're here.
Okay.
If you finish talking about that one, then we'll talk
well,
about this.
yeah, Chris had it here for sale at the Atlanta Brick Company, and I had to buy this. So I don't know, I bought it a couple of years ago. I just have the one car. I'd like to get a couple more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yes, I'm not sure what set it was from.
So that's the Metroliner Club car, if I'm correct.
Right, that sounds right.
That might not be the actual name of it, but that's what I refer to it as. But
Yeah.
this is the set that it would have been designed to accessorize, because this is the standard train with the cars in the back, but this one would have gone in the middle somewhere for kind of the higher paid ticket holders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the case there, Corey?
That is,
Yeah.
back to the story earlier, this is a set they would sell, and you could buy this as an accessory
Right.
for it. And not everybody went and bought these. And so now
Right.
this is really nice, and especially to see it in this condition.
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, they're kind of yellowed from the sun. So that
Yeah.
is, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that old gray can be very, very fragile
Yes.
for UV light, and thankfully this one's in great shape, and this one's never been opened, so it should be
Oh,
in pretty
really?
good shape too. So this was, it came in on I think it was a Friday, and it was the live stream happening at the time, and Joe was opening up these boxes, and in the boxes was a sealed Cloud City mint condition, which ended up selling 40 minutes later for $9,000. But I was excited about that, but I was more excited about this one, which is not nearly that expensive. It's not cheap, but it's definitely sealed. It's hard to find. So
And that's the way it came in black and white.
Yes, this is the shop at home variant. So the original one would have been a color box, kind of like the art style for these smaller kits, kind of the 90s, 80s color. This one I think would have been a reissue, or a little bit later for the shop at home, because
It was a re-release after a few years.
Yeah.
That set discontinued, and
it's got the 10,001 set number too,
Wow.
which is a little bit different, I think. So, but it's the
That's
same
super cool.
same contents. It just has a different packaging. So,
Mhm.
but that's the only train item of note that I have, other than some tracks. So I'm glad I was able to include a little bit. But we've got another set over there, which is kind of falls into that European passenger train,
Right.
but it's a really nice version of it. What do we got there, Corey?
Well, this is the Lego version of the French TGV. It was at one time the fastest electric train in the world until the Japanese came out and beat the French.
Yep.
This is the Lego version of it, though. I brought this one. It's really cool because it's got the brick printing on the side. It looks like
a
stickers.
mosaic, yeah.
Yeah, but they're using this is one of the first times I've seen a Lego set where they're using mosaic to get artwork done. They did resolve the printing pieces too, kind of like on the Maersk set. It's like the same piece, just the blue and color on the Maersk.
Yeah, that angle down is very tricky to do
Mhm.
in Lego. So
This one's pretty cool though, because the battery can just tuck right on in the engine. So.
very nice. Yeah.
hmm
And that orange color scheme is pretty unique too. So
And was that an Ideas set? Or?
I think it was Ideas.
Okay.
interesting.
And that's part of what makes it so expensive is this orange base plate. That's,
Okay, that's
Oh.
right. It's a three-piece set.
Mhm. You could rebuild this whole thing except for that orange
Right,
base plate.
right.
So
Yeah, the rest of it's pretty normal bricks and pieces, but then when you get to that unusual base, it's
yeah,
pretty crazy.
maybe
so.
the windshield.
Yeah, the dark trans dark.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think they call it trans brown
Brown
now,
now,
but it used to
yeah.
be just
Yeah.
dark or like a
Right.
trans black, trans dark.
Black.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But talking about different Lego colors, this big red cargo car here is really sweet, and this is a different width from some of the other ones we've seen
Right.
here. Mark, can you describe some of these?
So then I started exploring the my own creation.
The mock versions,
version.
Yeah.
And so these are 8 wide. And if you could, there's all kinds of places you could look online to buy the stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And they make a really pretty train. And you could do a lot more with them since they're so big.
Yeah,
make
more
them
details,
More
yeah.
detailed. So I have this one and then the caboose. And I grew up next to the railroad, and it was actually the Reading Railroad. So
Nice.
so that's why I got this set. Again,
Wow.
the stickers, really set it off.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I have one more caboose, a red caboose, but then I gave up on the
Mm-hmm.
the 8 wide because they just take up too much room.
They take up
They're-
room, and the layout itself needs to be almost twice as big.
Right.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, but they are pretty.
And you also have to have specialized track to get around the corners efficiently
On some
as
of
well.
them, yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, because the Lego track is pretty tight corners
That-
for its size. So.
That goes back to the track conversation. The straight pieces you're fine using, but
Mhm.
this is what we call R40.
Yeah.
It's a radius of 40 studs. To get something like 6 wide, R40 is okay. R56 is better. But
Mhm.
8 wide, you need R56, R72.
Mm.
Some people will go as big as R110, 102.
Wow. Okay. So
We're-
huge.
We're talking
curvature.
huge layouts because these train engines are just 30, 40 studs
Right,
long, and if
right.
they go on anything tighter than 100, they just
Get stuck.
Yeah.
they just get stuck.
Wow.
So,
And so the proportions of the minifigure don't make anything Lego accurate. But would you say that as far as looks, the 6 wides are better, or would you prefer the 8 wides, the slightly larger ones? What do you guys think? What are your even personal feelings on these? You got out of them, Mark. What was your take on
I
that?
did, but since you mentioned minifigures, we're coming up on the weekend. Do you know how minifigures have a fun weekend?
How do they have a fun weekend?
They throw a block party.
oh,
That's good, Mark. That's dad joke number 2 for the
Oh,
video.
help
There
me.
we go. So what do you think about the different scale of train? Because I know that actual model trains have a huge variety of scales, but what do you think about the difference in Lego MOCs versus set sizes?
I've got a bit of an unpopular opinion with it.
Mhm.
I'm into Lego for the fun of it, the modularity, like it's easy to change in and out,
Yeah.
and it's a toy. And
Mhm.
so I prefer the 6 wide. You can't get as much detail in, but it's a little easier, and I'm not good at doing detailing, so it makes me feel better about myself when I have a 6
A
wide.
little
that looks-
glossed over.
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't see the airs in it as easily. But also, when you see this, you see a toy version of a big train. If I wanted a super hyper-realistic version of that train, I might just go buy a real model train.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
run that.
Mhm.
That's not to take away from some of the amazing 7 and 8 wide trains, though, and
Yeah.
how beautiful they are. It's just not quite my
Right.
cup of tea.
Mhm. And what do we got over here on the end of the table here?
This is a 6 wide. This is a reskin of the Maersk.
Oh, okay.
You can purchase these stickers online. A guy sells them, and this is from the train movie. Oh, what's it called? The Runaway.
That sounds right. I don't know.
It's that train where if it slows down under 70 miles an
Oh.
hour, it's going to
Oh,
explode.
okay.
And
That's kind of like based on the movie Speed, then, right? Because
It's-
that was the bus
yeah.
was the same situation.
it's
So.
the train version of Speed.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So this is a fun engine just for that reason.
Very cool. Yeah, interesting gray and some yellow highlights. It's very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's a mock scene all over the place. I know there's tons of.
I have one more mock train. Could
Oh,
you
God,
reach the
yeah.
brown one?
Let's grab it.
There. So this, we found, it's in a book, the instructions. My son got it for me a few years ago, but
Mhm.
this is a good way to hide the engine.
There
So-
you go.
So the engine is there on the bottom, and also if you wanted to do it battery powered, there's room inside to put, the controllers, and then you could put the infrared on top.
Little switch
So
right there.
That is
Yeah.
super cool.
So you could actually hide it in there. So you could put this in the middle of one of your trains that's not powered. So
Mm.
It doesn't have room for it, right?
right, right.
So-
Yeah.
Or halfway through where it's starting to separate because there's not enough tension there.
You have another engine going.
The second engine
Right,
hidden in the
right.
train. That's
Yeah,
really cool. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to do that.
yeah.
So, and that also works for, like you said, every single version of the power source that you could be using, either the 9-volt track or the power battery pack from the later ones. That's really effective. That's sweet. Yeah, it's cool to see a little taste of the mock scene. I know that the last big convention I went to was Brick Fair, Virginia, and I was actually getting some pictures for you, Corey. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you were able to make it to that
I
one.
wasn't.
There was a pretty huge train layout and lots of amazing custom trains, I think in both scales. So if you want to see more Lego trains, especially in the mock regard, go check out some of these larger conventions. I know Brick World's pretty awesome. You guys have both been there, I believe.
Chicago.
Oh,
Brick,
gosh.
Yeah,
Brick Fair.
pretty awesome.
Yes. Yeah, and I found the instructions for these just online somewhere on the internet.
Yeah.
And what I liked about these is there's no stickers or no custom pieces, but
Mhm.
but it still looks pretty good. But
Yes.
the stickers do set it off.
So you can, if you're careful with the pieces you're using, you can get all the detail you need just physically applying stuff
right,
to
if
it.
you're
But
good.
some stickers can really set it off
But
nicely.
if it's all
Yeah.
black, there's not much you can do, so you need the stickers.
Yeah, a few
Mhm.
gold and yellow stickers on there will help it out very
Yeah.
well. So. But yeah, the final question I have for you guys today is, do you have any advice for new LEGO fans who want to get into trains? Because you guys both had slightly different ways of getting into it. You saw a show and started buying sets from there. You had a friend get you a set and started the bug. So if you were to go back, hindsight's 2020, what was your advice for a kid or an AFOL who really wants to get into trains?
Wow.
What should you not do?
Pester granddaddy.
There you go. Exactly. Get some Christmas presents.
Get some Christmas
That's the
presents.
way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive now. The new sets. What are
Mhm.
they? Close to $300 for everything that's coming off.
200 to 300.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you need to put it on your Christmas.
This is a
list.
Christmas level gift type
Yes,
thing. Yeah.
And they don't make smaller sets right now
Mhm.
for trains.
A lot of it is because of the powered up functions. The battery pack is
Mhm.
$60 of that, and then the track.
Yeah.
My advice is just go buy one of those. Don't overthink the set. Just get it. Get the power functions. Get the track,
Mhm.
and then let it go from there.
Yeah.
You'll start acquiring a car here, there, a train engine, and you don't need to buy the power packs.
It's not overnight.
Those.
It's a journey.
Mhm.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. Is there a specific place you'd recommend for track? I know we sell some here at the store, but are there good prices on Bricklink versus eBay? Anything like that? So.
I think if you're not buying the custom track, the wider radius stuff, if you just want the Lego track, the best place to buy it is when you get it with a set, or
Yeah.
when you buy from somebody on Facebook selling a train set. They're
Mhm.
gonna throw in track. There's been times where I needed track and I went and bought some, and then a week later I buy a haul and it has more track in it,
Right.
and I'm
There you
like, oh, I wish I didn't buy this track because I went and got some more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
But anything else that we missed or want to discuss in the Lego train category? I'm
Just
trying to think.
that green train.
Let's do that. Let's talk about the last set we have underneath there. Mark, you brought a ton of stuff, and I really
I
appreciate
did.
it.
So this was from a cargo train set, came out in 2006. And I just wanted to explain so I just brought
This one's unique, right?
the engine. Yes. And what they did was they used what is it? Triple A
Or double A.
AA batteries.
Mhm.
So there's 3 batteries that go underneath.
Wow.
Okay.
So room for 3 along
There's
the
room
bottom.
for 3, but if you don't know, this comes out and there's 3 more.
There's a bunch more space. there.
It's a total of 6 batteries.
Yeah.
So if you do buy one on the used market, everybody forgets to take the batteries out.
Yeah.
And then it gets all corroded. So if you have one of these train sets, remove the batteries when you're not using it, and remember that there's 3
I didn't
hidden.
know that.
There's bonus 3 batteries.
I've got to go home and remove some batteries.
Yeah, and I think it's the only set that Lego made like that I'm aware of. But it's just one of the cars from the set.
Yeah, that is a very convenient way of storing the batteries if you remember it's there.
Right.
If you forget and you just aren't aware, then you could be in some
Right.
trouble there.
And I've had Chris call me up and tell me they couldn't get the train running, and he didn't realize that 3 more batteries went underneath.
Yep,
So when he was selling one here.
that's pretty
funny.
awesome. And this one actually has the remote control for it too. That's kind of like an
Right.
intermediary period.
This is one of the older versions that are remote controlled that paired with this set, and they have some newer light gray with the orange button remote
Yes,
controls.
the orange dials are what I remember. So yeah.
Mhm. And this, it's really cool you brought this in. This is the 9-volt control. So you would mount this to your table and wire it into the track,
Yeah.
and you spin the dial to select reverse or forward for your train.
hmm
That's really cool. I've actually not seen one of these in a long time, especially in this condition.
It's a pretty essential piece for a 9-volt
Right.
display. So
I'm going to be stuck using my phone, and I can't do more than 3 or 4 trains at a time.
Is there
Mhm.
wires in here?
There might be.
So, yeah, the big problem with the
yes.
train sets is the wiring. So there's a power supply that gets plugged into the wall for this set,
Yeah.
and
Regular electrical cord.
electrical cord, and that stays in good shape. But these wires here, and you can see this is a good example how they fray,
It's just
and it's just bare wires. So all of this insulation comes off. These are 30 years old?
Yeah.
And maybe somebody out there would know how to repair this, but it has two connections, and this piece here connects to the track. So you plug this in here, yeah, and let's see.
It's the direct connection for the control to the track, yeah.
This connects, so this gets plugged in where?
On the yellow brick
right back here.
Okay. And then, this goes into the power supply. So these wires stay in pretty good shape, but that's the setup for the 9-volt. But it's the little wires that go inside the train.
They can get torn up really easy.
They start deteriorating, and I see so many that come in here that are like this, and I don't know how to fix this. Do you know how to?
I'm sure an expert could.
Yeah.
It's not hard, but I haven't seen any that haven't frayed in some way.
Yeah.
It's extremely common.
So, and if they touch, then they ground out, or
it stops working.
It stops working. So, if I wish somebody would come out with some aftermarket.
Well, that's where you have tracks like FX Bricks and Trix Bricks. They do the custom injected molded track.
Yep.
But now there's a new player in the field. They're doing custom molded track with the 9-volt metal on it.
Yeah.
They're $15, $18 per piece.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money up front, but over the long term, if you know your layout and you know where you need the pieces, it can really...
New high quality track to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's unfortunate that those wires do corrode erode so quickly, because the 9-volt track system is already so collectible and already increased in price. So the increasing rarity of the essential components to power the track makes it that much worse.
Right.
But it's a challenge that all train fans must overcome if they want to get that sweet dial going with the 9-volt track going around. So. But yeah, I think that's one of the few things that's missing from this guy. I think it says, so it's missing the
power
control
functions.
and the wire. So I think I do have those somewhere. I think actually Corey might have helped me acquire those a while ago. So
I had a big haul one time. Yeah.
there you go. Alrighty, but I think that's a pretty comprehensive picture of a lot of different Lego train sets, the MOC scene, the different kinds of power you can apply to your trains, and how difficult it is to actually collect them, and why it's such a alluring challenge to the Lego fan like you guys. So.
Well, it's also one of the longest running Lego themes ever, if not the longest running theme.
For sure. Yeah, like 80s to nowadays, because they still make Lego train kits in the modern powered up system. That's pretty awesome.
And how many stations did they make over the years too?
No.
Train stations, train
stations.
buildings, and
I'll never have every train set.
There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are pretty collectible too. So. Yeah, we every now and then we get a Lego train station. Lasts for a little while, and then it's gone. So. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your knowledge and your opinions on these awesome Lego train kits. Thank you, Corey and Mark, for your time. And if you guys like this kind of content, don't forget to like the video, comment, let us know which train kit is your favorite, and subscribe if you haven't already. We sure appreciate you guys. Thanks a bunch. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.